Did you know that $25 Canadian is free US dollars?
This is Auto Collabs.
It is. I've heard that. Actually, I went to Canada one time with $2. Just $2.
How long ago was this?
Literally got out of there with a steak dinner. It was nuts.
No, that was McDonald's. That was McDonald's.
This reminds me though. No, when I was in college, I remember I didn't have a ton of money. Obviously, none of us do in college. And I tried to get as creative as possible where like I love to cook. So, you know, I would say to the girl, pick a number between 0 and 2. And they'd be like 0.75. I'm like, we have 75 cents to buy food to make a meal for our date.
She's like, dang.
And there was this store, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like, you know, you'd buy the steak, but it was like had a silvery
foil,
like
silvery looking bit of sheen.
Nice sheen.
Like there's
well,
oil
hey, that's
spill
enough
on
about
it.
Canada. But our guest today is actually Canadian. Devin Sooley was all over LinkedIn, and his group was all over LinkedIn, and I just like pounded the LinkedIn DMs because we had to have a conversation about what they're doing. So we literally know nothing about Devin except for he owns a camera and takes really nice photos and video of cars for an auto group. So I'm interested to see exactly what that's all about. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Devin. All right, we are sitting here with Devin. Devin, thanks so much for giving us a little bit of your time today, man.
Thanks. Yep, happy to be here.
Devin, so we're just gonna jump right in because I'm scrolling through the old LinkedIn, just like thumb scrolling, just trying to find something good. The old LinkedIn that actually nobody except for the people in auto use.
That's not.
But I'm scrolling through it and I see this like epic video photo montage thing of cars. I was like, that's cool. Slowed down, and then I realized that it was from a dealership group, and I was like, hold up, wait a minute, they got some B-roll from the OEM. And then I was like, no, that's a real person from the real thing. I immediately say, whoever's responsible for this, DM me. And that's when you responded. All right, so walk us through specifically that, then we'll probably track back, but you are taking a tour of Canada in a vehicle. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's just like a mini tour that the dealership put off. So basically, Hyundai Ioniq Canada sent all the dealerships the Ioniq 6 EV to go pick up. Other stores obviously just picked them up and drove them right back to dealership. We want to do something a little bit different where we wanted to make a trip out of it, and also my background being photo and video and my coworkers being photo video, we said Newfoundland has such a rugged landscape and it's beautiful scenery. It's also a very big island that takes 12 hours to cross. Why don't we take the car and try to get the most scenic shot possible with the car that we can find in Newfoundland, because it's such a beautiful spot to shoot photos in. And a lot of the OEMs don't realize that, and they will give us products that are cityscapes or downtown Toronto or stuff like that for us to use, which doesn't really pertain to our market. So we said, if we're driving the car back, we're going to take our 3 days and we're going to drive it 2,000 kilometers back, EV style, and try to get as many cool photos as we can in the tourism spots that we can. The catch was we only had 72 hours because the car did have to be back on the lot that Monday, and we came back Friday. So we did have to limit where we were going and be pretty quick on it. So there was a lot of 20-hour days trying to just, motor through, get lots of content, lots of photos. And along the trip with the photos, we also had the vlog, the whole thing for a video series that we're doing, obviously, with it as well.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, 2,000 kilometers from Newfoundland. So what, you got to Quebec City? Like, where
we started in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And at the end of it, when we get back to St. John's, really, it's not 2,000 kilometers, but when we left Halifax, when we had 20 kilometers on the car, brand new. When we landed back here at the dealership at St. John's, we had 2,000 based on all the tourism spots we were visiting and all that kind of thing.
In 3 days?
3 days. Yeah.
That's legit.
That is. Well, you had to charge
That's
that
totally
thing.
legit.
We did. Yeah,
That's
we
what
had-
I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm like a 12-hour island. How many chargers are out there in the middle of this beautiful rugged territory?
Yeah. So lucky enough, Newfoundland, albeit is a little bit slower on new tech coming in. I got to admit, the EV infrastructure on the highway is pretty good. We have a level 3 charger every 70 kilometers on the highway. It's when you veer off that highway that it gets a little bit more sketchy. But I got to admit, the Ioniq 6 was pretty true to range. If it was saying it was going to get 400 kilometers, within 5 to 10 kilometers, it was getting that. And we found that out pretty quick, which really helped our trip to say, okay, yeah, we can push it to this limit and get to the next charger. There was a few cases that we probably should have stopped, and we said, no, we'll motor on. But
did you get stuck at all, or was it just like nail biting? Like
it was no, it was pretty good. Now, coming from, we didn't really account for how far from Halifax to North Sydney, where the ferry is, to get back to Newfoundland, where Newfoundland's an island. We didn't account how far that would take us and how long it would take. So we left 4 a.m. in Halifax, drove about 3 hours, charged up in a little small town somewhere in Nova Scotia for about 25 minutes, and then motor on to North Sydney. Got to North Sydney, charged up there next to the ferry terminal in a grocery store parking lot. Went in, got a few snacks, hanging around, doing a few stuff, cleaning up the car. Thinking we had loads of time. When we got there, actually, we only had 4% of battery left, so that was a little bit nail biting. The trailer, yeah, that was a little bit like
you turn everything off, right?
Yeah,
no
we
heat,
like,
no AC, no radio,
no nothing. We were like, cool, maybe I can plug in the camera battery into the car somehow and
reverse charge it.
Yeah, but so we got there, we charged up, we were taking our time. We're like, okay, that's 25 minutes is good enough, and then we moved our way to the ferry terminal, only to pull into the ferry terminal, and we're like, oh, cool, there's no cars here, like. Sweet, no wait, no nothing. We can load right on. We pull up to the window, and the girl looks at us and goes, "You were supposed to be here 2 hours ago if you were loading a vehicle." And we were like,
"Oh no!"
And she was like, "I'll radio down to make sure that the boat's still open to take vehicles. I'm not sure if they closed the gate already." And we're like, "If they close this gate, we have to wait until the next ferry riding, which is 8 hours time from where we are now, which would have drove us into midnight." And we wouldn't land back in Newfoundland until like the next.
Please, we're making a show. We're touring the country. Yeah. Please.
It's funny because we had the GoPro on the dash as well, and it recorded the whole like interaction, and you can see both our faces just change, like just drop. Excuse me. She radios
I love the theory. You're like always be recording. Yes. Something's gonna happen, right?
Happen. So then, and right before that, like I said, my buddy we pulled in. He was like, "Oh, great! There's no cars here." Like, no, wait, and that's why they're already on the boat waiting, basically, to dock.
Oh man!
And lucky enough, they were like, "We were just about to close the gate in the next like minute. Like, if they can get down here, like we can load them on." And sure enough, we motored on down through the dock, got onto the ship right behind all the transport trucks and everything. We're literally the last car on. So we just made it in time and got off the ferry, and then the real trip started, basically, because that was just to get us back to Newfoundland, basically. So that was a fun hiccup.
Get going.
Yeah.
Right.
So
wow.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Wow. But it worked out because we landed in Port aux Basques, which is a small little fishing community where the ferry docks, and the sun was setting beautifully just like as we arrived, and we spent far too long just on the side of the highway shooting most of our clips just there because it looked so nice.
Epic. That's unbelievable. So your background then is not auto, right? Like auto's pretty new for you.
Yeah, auto and marketing is pretty new to me, to be honest with you. My actual educated background is in naval architecture. Total left field. Yeah, so as you would do. So I was up in BC working on a submarine program up there randomly. But on the side, when I was still in BC, I did a lot of photo video work, and I actually lucked in with Daily Driven Exotics, their YouTube channel. So I was their video editor and shooter for about 1.5 years or so, doing daily vlogs and all that kind of stuff. So I lucked in that way. And then when I moved back home to Newfoundland, I was still doing naval architecture, but it wasn't really jiving with me. I've always liked photo and video. I love cars. I own a classic car myself and stuff like that. So I've always loved automotive. And
what do you have?
I have a 69 Austin Mini 850.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So come on now.
I'm going to do a plug there now. He has an Instagram, so it's Norris the Mini. So you can
Did you
follow
say
him on
he has an
Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah,
Okay.
in my all my friends and my family, it's a he. Norris.
It's a he.
We all.
Usually cars are girl. Usually cars are female. Like a lot of
I
like
know, and
she.
I catch myself saying she, and then people correct me. He's like, Norris is a guy name. I'm like, yeah.
They're like
The person I bought it off, their kid named him Norris, so I just kept with it, and he looks like a Norris, I guess. So
Need to find him
yeah,
a
I'm gonna
Doris.
shameless
Okay, what's
plug.
the Instagram? Tell us the Instagram handle.
Norris the Mini.
Norris, Norris.
Yep,
the mini.
Yeah, he's
I
on
got it.
17,000 right now. So
What?
yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's where I take a lot of my inspiration to, and for social building and automotive and stuff like that. So
Let me ask you this from a creative perspective, right?
Sure.
Where I think a lot of people get stuck going, a car's a car's a car's a car's a car. They have 4 doors, they have 4 wheels. There's how do you think about it from a creative perspective to say, but I'm going to highlight something different about this thing that we all already know about? Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, so there's a lot of automotive content out there, obviously, and I get a lot of messages, especially on Norris' page, like how do you get so many followers? What are you doing different? And honestly,
This is
don't
great, by the
know.
way. I'm just looking at it now.
No,
like
thank
this
you.
is
Yeah.
great, by the way. Step
Thank
1,
you,
buy
yeah.
a really small car.
Yeah, it's really small. I used to park it in a 10-foot by 5-foot shed in my backyard, which you fit like a lawnmower in. It fit perfectly, so it's really, really small. But yeah,
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I couldn't help myself.
all good. No, my creative process on it is just I like to make content that people find interesting and that they can engage themselves in. And it's not so much just telling what I'm doing or telling you about what you already know. It's more of just, hey, look at this cool different thing, and make interactions. And I like having my followers on that page interact with me more than me interacting with them, basically. So I do a lot of
social is social.
yeah,
like
I
that,
like to
right?
get polls going. I like to
novel
start
idea.
group chats and all that kind of stuff. I like comments and letting them feed me what they want to see with the car, and just the Newfoundland landscape again just really makes that different, I find. Now, mind you, Norris only has 39 horsepower, so I'm not getting very far comfortably. There's a lot of highways here. There's a lot of fast drivers, and he can't really keep up. So that's a.
But I
bit of a limit.
mean, let me, because I'm sitting here. I got you. I'm looking at Norris here. I think like there's a lot of people who have the ambition to do this from a creative perspective. Dealerships, in fact, and they would post this, and it would get nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we know the social aspect, but how are you tackling this from a strategic perspective and a creative perspective to say like, no, like you had so much confidence saying, no, like I'm just going to show this vehicle in a way that I like. And then there's this confidence of, but people are going to like that too.
So from a dealer side, before I started here at Capital, I actually worked with another local group here, dealership group, and I was their content strategist for their automotive. And basically, for example, we started a TikTok for them, new to the industry. It was kind of seen as a little bit of a, why are we doing TikTok as an automotive dealership or automotive group? And we ended up growing it to over 8,000 followers in less than a year or so. Basically, my idea with that was, and same with the Instagram, we grew their Instagram over 2,000 followers in a local small market here. We seen that as a big win, only because the content I made wasn't so much about, here's a car, here's how much you can finance it for, here's the features that it has. I did more automotive content in the sense of, let's guess the car with 5 hints. Let's, what's automotive trivia? Who invented the seatbelt first and made it a patent-free seatbelt kind of thing. Then with some new stuff, but also like car news. Like there was a cargo carrier ship that sunk recently with millions of dollars worth of supercars, and they're just sitting at the bottom of the ocean now. People found that interesting. People liked engaging themselves into the conversation of, can I guess this car with the 5 hints? So it wasn't typical dealer content. It was more that entertainment side of things. And at my last group too, I did full review videos, 20 minutes long, just overviewing the car. Not so much reviewing it, just letting people know every little detail and spec. And that resonated very well on their YouTube, because it wasn't just an opinionated thing. It was more just the owner manual in video form, basically. So it's just looking at the content.
Video owner's manual.
Yeah,
Genius.
basically, right?
Absolutely.
It's just looking at it in my mind, differently than what has been done before, and providing value to people who want to follow automotive more so than just making content that is, here's a car, here's a price that we've seen forever. Let's make it
Nonstop.
entertaining. Let's give it value is my thing. And same with Norris's page. I give people value. So I try to give them hints of how to do photography. I give them angles. I give them what Norris is and car fixing stuff. I'm not mechanically inclined, so I'm learning as I go. And I try to do that with his channel as well, to give that value kind of a thing. And I also don't try to fake it. I'm just a guy who started a random Instagram. I'm a guy who just was doing neighbor architecture, and now I'm doing automotive marketing. I don't try to fake it as much as I can. I am who I am, right?
I'm like, I know Norris. You know what I mean? Like, you made your vehicle such a character that you're talking, like, we're talking about a buddy now, all of a sudden.
Yeah, him.
He's like
account.
his channel, you know, his account over there.
Norris is better at this than I am. I let him answer the comments, really.
Yeah. When I'm
Norris
talking
drinks
in
too
my
much.
family or my friends and I say Norris, everybody knows who I'm talking about. It's like he is part of the family.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Norris,
Do you think
how
that also feeds into the like growth of it and why people buy into it? Because it took us all of a minute and a half, and we're thinking of Norris as a part of our
personification
family.
of it all.
It's part of the family. That's the hope. He's a little part of the family. He's a little buddy.
Little bit. How much?
So what are you doing like right now? Because obviously
We've all
we've all got
we got questions about Norris.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it, because obviously you're new with this group with Capital, and you have done this really cool thing with the like little vlog series.
Yep.
But like, how are you gonna start to connect some of the things you're doing with Norris to the ground on like? Yeah, I'm still calling him Norris, right?
Yeah. No.
With your Instagram account,
Yeah.
that's not really yours; it's some car.
Yeah.
But how are
That car's got a title.
Yeah.
Full title.
Use his full name.
How are you going to take the learnings and like the experience and how you do that in your own world into, okay, now I've got a dealer group that has a personality, that has a lot of cars. Like, how are you going to, what's the plans there?
So the plan really is I use Norris as a what works and what doesn't work. Because there's no pressure there. If I plan to do something there and it doesn't work out, oh, well, just brush it off and move on to the next thing. And I know not to use that probably in the dealer group where it's a little bit more pressure, you know, time is money kind of a thing. Lucky enough, Capital owns the mini dealership here in St. John's and in Newfoundland, the only one. So really I'm taking what I know about mini owners already with the classic page that I have and moving it over. What do they want to see in the new page? And actually I've been able to take a couple of new minis home on the weekend and done some content you've probably seen recently on Norris's page with the new mini versus the old. I'm also transitioning that over to their pages as well, new versus old, and also just the shots I've had in certain locations with minis and stuff like that, and what worked and what haven't worked. Tagging some of the bigger mini pages that just show off minis and in cool locations. So I'm taking minis out and adding that in. So really the dealership mini page here is going to be my starting channel where I'm just comfortable with that, and then I'm going to trickle it off to the other channels. I definitely see a struggle with some of the channels because there's not a big following, say for Mitsubishi as a whole. But some of the content there can be transitioned over.
So
and for example, just yesterday I just finished shooting all our TikTok content that I have for this group. So 5 days straight of consistent content that will be posted for the next 24 weeks. And then I'll reset and do another 24 weeks of content, let it automatically post itself up. And it's just consistent content that I find works. Consistent, good quality content is the key. And that's what Norris's page, it's been 3 years in the making of posting every day, if not every second day, consistently.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be 16,000 followers in like 3 months. They're like, hey, we got a plan. We'll be there in 3 months. They see these like, but you're like, no, I put in the work for 3 years to get there.
It was a lot of work, and it's been consistent 3 years, posting either every day, every second day, the same quality content. So here in Newfoundland, we only get like 5 months of nice weather and really only about 4 months of driving weather for Norris. And in those 4 months, I am just pumping content. I like out shooting 200 to 300 photos every time I'm out for a drive, shooting reels, shooting video content, and just banking that for use throughout the year. So I'm still posting stuff from 2021, 2022, and now I'll have 2023 stuff, but I'm still reposting stuff that I just...
So smart.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like hard work. There's like this old album, and it was called Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven, but Nobody Wants to Die.
Yeah, nobody wants to die to get there.
Yeah,
Bro, Norris
it's a
is a
lot of work,
celebrity.
but
Bro,
I'm
Norris
a
is getting
fan.
flipping wedding invites.
I'm a fan.
Let's go.
Little bow tie would look good on Norris. We need to find him. All right, who's Norris's counterpart? It's going to be like something real fancy, like a Range Rover Velar, right? Like Norris.
Well,
Yeah, he's
eventually,
fascinating.
my dream vehicle is a Jaguar E-Type, so maybe that can be like his future
little-
bride, maybe. But I don't know.
his Bond
Jaguar
girl.
still looks-
Yeah.
Keep to the British
That's
roots, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, dang. I don't.
That's
They
just
never
too much
go like
fun.
we think we're gonna go. They're going.
And
do they?
this never goes the same way. It's like thought we were going to talk about a tour, and we got Norris becoming like a human as a part
Yeah,
of the auto
yeah.
industry.
Well,
Right. I see the
I'll talk about
critical
the
piece
tour
to
a
all
little
of
bit
this, though.
because that is kind of important and it's important to the group kind of thing. But yeah, I'm still editing that video now. Before I hopped on here, I was still editing it. I'm only about halfway through. I'm thinking it's going to be about an hour-long documentary based on the 500 gigs of video footage I have alone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think
Hey, when you release that, you have to let us know because we'll push it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get
for
it
sure.
out there for
So
sure.
our plan is to release it in episodes, probably 5 to 6 mini episodes, 10 minutes or so each,
Smart.
and then do the full video post as well, and then repurpose those mini episodes as well, just to gain that traction back and kind of thing like that.
Obviously.
So that's the plan. Hopefully, I'm hoping by the end of next month it will be ready, polished, and out in market at least. But so far it looks pretty fun and cool, and I'm enjoying editing it at least, and reliving the 3 days of craziness and charging and all that. And the fun fact actually is that charging wasn't bad. And from Halifax to St. John's, 2,000 kilometers, all we driven cost us about $91, I think, if I look at it. Canadian.
Did you
So,
just say $91?
yeah, on public
Canadian,
charging.
And that's
boys,
probably
Canadian.
Canadian too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Canadian.
actually 13 US dollars.
Oh, basically, yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. Here we go. I
Oh,
knew it was
man.
coming.
Well,
It was-
Devin, man, we love being able to hang out with you. This did not go. I mean, our best to Norris for sure. I mean, hope he's well, but it's super cool to see you being able to kind of like spread your wings and bring dealerships, especially your dealer group in Canada, to new heights, doing something super creative. Hopefully others catch wind of what you got going on. We can't wait to see the docuseries, and certainly excited that you got to hang out with us today.
Thank you for having me on. It's great. And I gained 3 more followers, I think, on Norris's page. So that's great.
Hey, you did. 3.
I'm not quite sure who he interviewed. Was it Devin? Was it Norris? Like, what are we even talking about on the way out of this?
We actually interviewed Norris's alter ego. Norris was the star of the show.
It's almost like his PR agent. It's
At
like,
first,
look-
because of his accent, I thought he was saying Norse because there's a lot of Viking
Right.
history in Newfoundland.
Viking
Did
history.
you-
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe-
I was like, oh,
maybe
Norse.
we
And then he's
don't
like,
know.
yeah, it's a mini. What is it? What did he say it was? A 1969 mini?
Mini Cooper. Yeah, Mini.
Mini Cooper.
Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And so I think this whole thing, right? It just punctuates the fact that media and marketing and branding are nothing like they were 15 years ago. The ability to tie together and like a personal interest or just something that the general public thinks is fun or cool with relevant things that are happening today, right? The EV transition. And then, I mean, he's able to tie it another level because there's a mini dealer involved as well, right? So the idea that you can pull all these things together and it's all okay, right? There's no one like policing the brand guidelines so tightly that this can't happen, because that's exactly what happens when you try to police brand guidelines too tightly. Like, none of this happens.
I also still cannot get over the fact, like, it just blows my mind that they did a docu-series of an EV for 2,000 kilometers through Canada. Like that.
I mean, I kind of feel
show
like,
me another person that's done that. Like,
I kind of
that's
feel
not
like
an
the three of us-
influencer hired by a brand, right?
Yeah. And by the way, 91 Canadian dollars plus, okay, like this is the cheapest docu-series you could ever film. $91 in electricity, Canadian dollars, turns out today's exchange rate turns out to be only $66 US, plus whatever his salary for each of those days is. But it was 72 hours. Like, they're coming out of it with some like creative output that is probably going to be pretty untouchable from inside a dealership.
Oh yeah,
perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
just think of the life cycle. All right, well, look, if that doesn't get your wheels going, you got to go check out Norris. By the way, we're his 3 new followers because I think all of us probably followed his account during that podcast because we couldn't help ourselves. But thanks for joining us today on behalf of Kyle Mountseer, Michael Cirillo, and myself. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?
Are we rolling yet?